like this. Okay. Excellent. So what you're going to need for this class is a chair for sure, some kind of towel or long cloth that is not stretchy, okay? And then you might want something like a cushion or a yoga block also. Lourdes, apague el micrófono, okay?
Sí.
Okay. Okay. So this class is going to be pretty slow moving. We're going to try to focus on movements that help you kind of feel what's going on in your body. When I work with people with back pain or recurrent back pain, we focus a lot on the pelvis and the upper back, while a lot of the pain is often happening in the low mid back area, because we can respond better and kind of our spines really respond well when our pelvis is moving well and our upper back is moving well. And oftentimes we have limitations in pelvic movement and upper back movement that then can lead to pain in the mid and low back. Okay, so just keep that in mind, and kind of the idea is to be curious, explore, and like learn something new about your body in this class. Okay, so let's just stand here for a minute. We're going to use the chair in just a second, but just go ahead and get your feet about hip distance apart. Weight on your heels. And if you feel like you want to, you could close your eyes and just take a minute to kind of notice where you're at, where your body's at. Notice what's kind of, if anything's bugging you right now. Maybe you feel a little tension somewhere. Just kind of notice where you're at the beginning of the class. And we'll touch back in at the end. Take a few breaths. Excellent. Okay, so go ahead and grab your chair. So the beginning of this class, the idea of this class is that you're going to have lots of tools movement tools that you can use in your life to help your back feel good regularly, especially if you practice them regularly. So the beginning of this class is going to be some seated movement. You know, in the recording, you can always fast forward and go to the more standing and floor movement. But these seated movements are really good for touching into learning a little bit about your pelvis and your spine, how they're connected. Okay, so at the beginning of class, I want you to grab your towel. This is kind of a before. So grab your towel long ways like this, and you're going to wrap it around your low ribs. So you've got your rib cage here, and you're going to take the towel and you're going to wrap it around the bottom of your ribs, okay? Create a little bit of pressure by pulling that towel a little tight, but not too tight. And now I want you to start to take some breaths where you imagine that your ribs are expanding into the towel, okay? So just go ahead and take a few breaths. Slow breath, inhaling and exhaling. So imagine that your ribs can move in multiple dimensions. Keep practicing as I talk. They're going to move side to side, front to back, and just a tiny bit up and down, okay? So that means that as you breathe, you take that inhale, your ribs are going to move out into the towel, and you might feel that the towel, that your fingers that are holding the towel like this slide together, and exhale, and they slide apart. So try that a few times. See if you can make that towel expand, your ribs expand, that towel slide, your fingers together, exhale, and they slide apart. Good. If you can't feel that, don't worry. I think by the end you might have a different experience. Do one more there. Just see what you can feel, see what you notice about movement or lack thereof in your ribs. Okay, wonderful. So you can go ahead and get rid of the towel. So now we're gonna do some pelvic movement in the chair. So you're seated, go ahead and sit at the edge of the chair and put your hands on the sides of your hips, of your pelvis. So feel the bones at the top. Feel some bones right here in the front, so right there. And then you've got your pubic bone down here, okay? So that's the bony outline of the front of your pelvis. Now, sitting at the edge of the chair, see if you can kind of wiggle your hips and notice the bones that are angled, pressing into the chair, okay? So feel your pelvis in space as it relates to the chair and its orientation. So now with those bones facing the chair, I want you to see if you can have them move forward by kind of tipping your pelvis back, and then come back up and feel the bones of your pelvis face the chair. So do that a couple of times. Now this can make it so that your spine really rounds towards the back of the chair and then comes back up, or it can just be a smaller movement where just your pelvis is moving. So just see if you can feel those bones move. Another thing you might want to feel is your pubic bone and that frontal hip bone. The frontal hip bone moves back in space. Pubic bone kind of comes towards your nose. And then pubic bone moves down and those frontal hip bones move forward, okay? So those are a couple of different ways to feel that pelvic rocking. Excellent. Okay, so once you've done that a few times, now we're gonna do pelvic rotation, okay? So put your hands on the sides of your hips. Now, imagine that your left knee is moving forward in space and your right knee is moving back towards your pelvis, okay? And if you have your hands on your hips, you can kind of feel that that rotates your pelvis to the right, and then bring them back together, and then do that again. So right knee pulls back, left knee moves forward, pelvis rotates. Okay, so play with that a few times. You're sitting at the edge of your chair. I know these are very small, simple movements, but maybe this is confusing. Maybe you're like, what, am I doing it? I'm happy to answer any questions afterwards. Okay, let's do the other direction. So there's a couple of different things that can happen. Right knee moves forward, left knee moves back. You might feel that like rotating in one direction is easier than the other. There's more movement in one direction than the other. You can also see if you can keep your ribs facing forward and just rotate the pelvis. That's hard. You can also allow your spine to rotate along with the pelvis. Okay, creating that ability to have independence is great for your brain to map this area of the body. And when your brain has a good map, then you often experience less pain. And there's lots of reasons for that, which I won't go into. Okay, great. So now we're going to do pelvic rotation and spinal rotation. So right knee is going to move back towards your hips. You're going to kind of stay long in your spine. Your sits bones are facing the chair. Your right knee is going to move towards your hips. Left knee is going to shift forward. And then you can continue to rotate through your spine, kind of look back behind you and reach with your right hand back behind you. If you want, you can put your left hand on your right knee, but we're not really pressing into it. We're using all the muscles of our back to rotate. And breathe. So rotate and breathe. Take one more big breath into your ribs as much as you can. Excellent, and come back to look forward. Ooh, that feels so nice. Let's do the other side. I'm gonna face this way. Okay, so right knee moves forward. So we start with the pelvic rotation. Right knee moves forward, left knee moves back. Your pelvis rotates left. Then we start to rotate the spine, so you can kind of move up the spine as you rotate. And then you're gonna reach back with your left hand and really look back with your head and breathe. You might feel cramping somewhere in your body. So you can come out of it and then go back in. Rotate and breathe. So all of these movements are excellent for people who spend a lot of time in chairs, and you can do them while seated, okay? So I encourage play around with these movements while seated. Last one, for just spine, we're gonna do a couple more seated, but take the top of your head and you're gonna roll down. So this is spinal flexion. Keeping the pelvis kind of where it is. Just roll your head down and feel that you're going down vertebrae by vertebrae, segmentally, down, down, down. And then just keep going, trying to keep the pelvis where it is. And then eventually your pelvis is going to come along. It's going to tip forward. So you're really trying to round as much as you can. And then come back up. If you're somebody who has pain with, this is called flexion of the spine. This is a really low load version of that. So you can get your spine used to this movement without causing any pain, okay? So do that one more time. Just really imagine that you're going vertebrae by vertebrae as you roll down. I like to use my hands and imagine that I'm pushing down my spine in the front, and that's curling my body more and more and more and more. And it's not till I get to where my pelvis starts that my pelvis will start to tip forward also. Good, and then come back up the same way. Excellent. Okay, so now grab your towel again. We're gonna this time put it behind our back. If you have a strap, like a yoga strap, that's even better, but we're gonna use the towel. You can roll it just a little bit. It doesn't have to be rolled too much, but I want it to feel kind of thin. The tension that you're gonna create to be narrow, okay? So first I want you to put this towel kind of in your low, like right in your mid back, okay? Turn it. Okay, so the towel's at your mid back, kind of where you think of your kidneys. And I want you to back bend over the towel, okay? Just pull the towel forward and feel like you're doing a little bit of back bend, and then push your spine into the towel. So in this spot, this is our most mobile spot of our spine. Do it a couple of times. It may be pretty easy. It might feel nice, but you can really pull forward and get a big back bend there, okay? So if you are very mobile there, it is a very mobile part of the spine, and it's meant to move, and that's great. And if your upper back cannot do any extension, that's that back bending motion, then you're going to be moving a lot more from this area of the back. And this area of the back has some cells, some receptors that, if there's a whole lot of movement, may send signals of pain. So we're going to work on getting a little bit of extension in the upper back now that can help limp or not require so much movement from that mid back and low back, okay? So bring the strap up higher. So the top of the towel up a little higher, like 2 inches below your armpit, okay? Maybe 1 inch, something like that. Actually, and I like actually holding the edge of the towel instead of rolling it up, because I want to feel that there's less kind of pressure. Okay, so from there, we're going to do the same thing, but you're going to try to back bend just over the strap and not so much from down where we were before. This movement, and instead we're a little higher. And you're just trying to almost squeeze the edge of the towel with those back muscles. And then you're going to press into the towel, curving your spine back. So then pull the towel tight. Allow that to be the spot where you try a little bit of a back bend over the towel. And then push your spine into the towel in that spot where you have pressure. Good. One more time. Over the towel. You can also imagine that your sternum here is, you have let's say you have like a pencil sticking out from your sternum. You're angling that pencil up towards the sky. and down, and back. Good. And breathe. Raise that up all the way to where your armpits are. So like right under your armpits. Same idea, just the edge of the towel. You're pulling the towel. You can lengthen your arms if that feels better. And you're just going to, same idea, you're going to try to back bend over the towel. It's not going to be a big movement because I'm not moving from down here. Okay, so I'm just back bending, pulling against the towel and trying to almost squeeze the towel with my upper back. And then push that upper back, spread it wide and push it into the towel. One more time. So it's going to feel a little different. You're getting a little higher. And if this, you can't feel it at all, that's okay. This can take time to connect with the upper back muscles so that they can get into extension and then push back into the towel. And breathe. Amazing. Excellent. Okay. Towel you can drop the towel again, do some side bending here. So we're just going to reach the right arm down, left arm comes up, and then reach that left arm up and over. I want you to imagine that you have a lemon here on your right waist, and you're squeezing the lemon as you reach in both directions. Squeeze and reach. It's a very active position, and you can breathe here. Imagine that your ribs are expanding as you breathe. Squeeze the lemon, reach, reach. Excellent. And come up. Let's go the other way. So we got a lemon here in the left waist. Right arm reaches up, left arm reaches down. Squeeze that lemon, reach and reach. And breathe. If you're like, this is painful or you're cramping anywhere, just come out of it a little bit. Cramping is just a signal from your body that this is not something that you do often. And breathe. So it's like, what are you doing? And come up. Excellent. Okay, so we're going to grab the strap one more time. Same idea. Go ahead and get the edge of the towel right below your armpits. Pull. Now I want you to imagine you have a pencil sticking out. Go ahead and scratch your kind of mid-sternum. Scratch it, scratch it, scratch it, because I want you to have a sense of where that is. You have a pencil sticking out from right there. You can also imagine it being a light, okay? So we're going to shine that light with this. We're going to pull the strap. We're going to shine the light down. So that means our back pushes into the strap, the towel, right? Now we're going to draw a circle with that light or with that pencil. So we're going to go to the right and then draw up to the right diagonal, center, up to the left, down to the left, push into the towel, and down again. One more time to the right. So we're drawing to the right, up. Now you get into a little bit of that back bend, that same back bend feeling, but you're rotated. Up center, up to the left, and down to the left. Now your spine kind of curls down to the left and center. Let's go to the left. So again, you've got your light shining from the center of your chest. Shine it down. You're also pressing into the edge of the towel. Shine it left. Up to the left. Now you're back bending just a little tiny bit. Up, center, up, right, down, all the way to the right, and center. One more time, and just see how fluid you can make this. Circle. You can do this circle without the towel also. It's just nice feedback, especially if you're not used to moving your ribs in this way. Excellent. Ooh, that feels so good. That's like an amazing upper back warm-up. So you can use that anytime. Okay, so now we're going to do a little chair lunge. Let's do that. Okay. You may want a cushion, a block, a book, So we're going to put our left leg on the chair and we're gonna allow our right leg to hang off the side. And it's gonna look about like this. Depending on the length of your legs and your chair, you may want something under that front foot to help you be a little bit more stable. Most of us need that actually. Okay, so I'm gonna show you from this angle. So you've got two sides of your pelvis here, right? See if you can get them level. So most of us will end up kind of leaning this way. If you need to, you can use the back of your chair for a little bit of support. Now, I want you to drop the right side of your hip and then raise it up. See if you can get that knee more or less under the hip also, and then tuck pubic bone to nose. So instead of pubic bone moving back, tail lifting up, you're tucking pubic bone to nose. You're going to feel a stretch here in the front of the hip. Okay, so drop down that right hip, raise it up, drop it down, raise it up. So we're going to add a little side bend. So drop it down just a little bit, and then side bend to the left, tuck pubic bone to nose. It's a big stretch for the whole side of the body. Come back up. I'm going to do it one more time. So because I wanted to include a lot of different exercises in this class, we're moving through them relatively quickly. And so when you rewatch this video, you practice these exercises again, do more repetitions of the ones that you're like, I either really don't like this, and that means I probably need to do it more, or I really like this, so I'll do it more. Both of those reasons are great. Okay, let's switch sides. Oh, I love that one. Sometimes it can take a little playing around with the setup to make it feel awesome, because this front leg, if your leg is too short and the chair is too high, it's not as comfortable. Okay, so drop the left hip down, kind of try to move that knee back so that it's in line with the hip, not in front. Tuck the pelvis and just drop the hip, and you can hold onto the chair, the back of the chair a little bit for support. Just drop the left hip and raise it back up. That alone can feel really nice. But if it feels kind of cranky on like your SI joints or anything like that, you don't need to do as much of a tug, or you don't need to kind of drop it down as much. Just play with the position, but don't force anything. Okay, so let's do side bend to the right, left arm up, really drop, tuck the pelvis. And as soon as you do that, pubic bone to nose, you're going to feel a lot more of a stretch on the front of your hip. And come back out. Keep breathing. So this is mobilizing the sides of your body, the front of your hip. They're very sometimes ignored parts of the body. Excellent. Okay, so we're going to come up from there. You're still going to be using your chair, but we're going to be standing. Okay, so I'm going to face this way. Okay, so I want you to face your chair, and we're going to do a hip hinge. So rather than how we did this spinal roll at the beginning, where my pelvis was the last to move as I rolled down, we're going to have the pelvis be the first to move, and that's going to create the movement of the spine. Okay, so like we were doing the pelvic tilts at the beginning, but now we're standing. Put your hands on the sides of your pelvis and see if you can tip it forward. That's going to make your hips move back in space. So the pelvis is tipping forward, and then the hips are moving back in space like that. Put your hands on the chair. Notice if you're rounding. So if your tailbone's tipped down to the floor, try to lift your tailbone. If your sits bones are tipped down to the floor, raise them up so that they're facing more or less the back wall. And if you notice your spine is rounded like this, we want the spine to be a little bit flatter, especially right here, okay, in the low back. Also, notice if your hips are over your toes, back your hips up so that they're over the heels or even further back. And my legs are pretty wide for this. So try to widen your feet. Some folks that is uncomfortable because they don't ever stand with their legs wide. This is actually a really important position for the health of your legs, your back, your pelvic floor. Okay, so we're going to open up our legs wide. And now we're going to shift our hips to the right and to the left. So I'm going to face this way so you can see that. Okay. I'm here without the chair, so you can see it. So I'm hinged over, and I'm just going to shift my hips to the right. They're also rotating to the right. My knees are staying straight, and have my hands on the chair, and my hips aren't moving forward. They're over my heels. Now, if you want, you can imagine that you're drawing your feet together. That creates some activity in the inner thighs. And now let's go the other way. So hips shift to the left, pelvis looks left a little bit, rotates left. And you can imagine that you're drawing your feet together. They're not going to move, but this helps activate those inner thigh muscles. So now you can go back and forth a few times. This feels so amazing. If you've been standing all day, it's a really, really important stretch and movement for the hips, which translates into important for the spine and the back. Okay, beautiful. You can come up to stand, shake out your legs. So in addition to it being very important to lengthen the front of the hips, these hip flexors that create this movement, they also need to be strengthened. And you know, there's so many reasons why all this musculature is really important for how the spine feels. So we're going to do a little bit of strengthening of the hip flexors. So you're going to put your foot on the chair. And I want you to imagine that you have a pencil right here in the crease between your leg bone and your pelvis. Now, this might be, depending on your chair, this might be high enough for you. And then you can just imagine as if you were squeezing the pencil there in that crease, but you might be able to lift higher. So then you're going to squeeze and lift, and then you're going to pulse up. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, pulse, 7, 8. If that's like, I can't lift my leg any higher, you're just doing the as if, where you're pulling that leg up and your foot might not come off the chair, and that's totally fine. And you're just pulsing. We're going to do it again. Here we go. Lift 1, pulse 2, 3, 4. Really squeeze as much as you can in that little pocket there. Excellent. So now you can step back, and you can just tuck your pelvis a little bit, pubic bone to nose, instead of lifting your tail like this. Step back with that right foot, tuck your pelvis, and feel the stretch right in those same muscles that you just activated, okay? Excellent, so let's do the left side. You could do a lot more of these, but we're gonna keep it kind of brief. Okay, so another thing to notice is that you're not tipping your pelvis forward to do this move. So we're gonna tuck again, tuck the pelvis, try to keep the pelvis really still. Tucking means pubic bone to nose, tail kind of down. Standing leg extended as much as you can. And here we go, we're gonna lift. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, good, and you can rest. Don't worry, we're not gonna do too many. But this is amazing for people who are having frontal hip pain, low back pain. This exercise alone can be very helpful. Okay, with a little bit of stretching also. Okay, let's do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can obviously hold onto a wall. Just pull, pull, pull. Feel that squeezing right there in that pocket and down. Take a step back with that left leg now. Doesn't have to be a big lunge. You can bend your legs and then tuck the pelvis. You can try to straighten that back leg, tucking the pelvis, and you'll feel a stretch in the front of the left hip. Okay, keep your legs, feet facing forward. This takes, if you rotate your foot out, it'll take the stretch out of that front left hip. Rotate the foot forward and you'll feel it a lot more. Okay, and you can bend the knees, you can straighten them, and see what difference that has in the front of the pelvis. Okay, so take a walk around and just feel how different your legs feel, maybe how different your back is feeling already. Okay, so one more really important move for back health is getting a good hip hinge, being able to get your glutes and your backs of your legs working well. And rotation in the hips is also really important. So we're going to do an exercise that will help you find the backs of your legs and include a little bit of spinal rotation at the same time. So it covers a lot of bases. So to find the hip hinge, you know, I asked you to hip hinge here, and I can't see your form. So here's another way to find a hip hinge, because hip hinging can be really hard for people. Again, it's not the only way to bend forward, but it's an important way to, if you are having back pain, to be able to do in order to not aggravate your back, right? A lot of flexion can be aggravating. So knowing how to use your hips instead of using flexion of the spine can be really supportive. Okay, so put your knees up against your chair. So your feet will go under the chair. And so that's a block. So now my knee, if I bend it, it will move the chair forward. So that's gonna keep us from doing that. That's our feedback, okay? So then from there, I want you just to bend just the hips so the hips move back and my knees are not pushing against the chair. So that's gonna help you find that hip hinge. Now, we're gonna do a split leg position. So I'm gonna do left leg forward, right leg back. My toes are on the floor on my right leg, but my weight is mostly on my left leg, okay? And my left knee is up against the chair. So you're kind of forward and your weight on the left leg, okay? So now from here, you're gonna hip hinge. So it's the same idea, it's just a single leg hip hinge. So do that a couple of times to feel what that feels like, having most of your weight. You're gonna feel more because most of your weight is on one leg, okay? So then after that, I'm gonna face forward. Keep that chair there, but so that you can see what I'm doing. Same idea, we're gonna hip hinge. Now I want you to take your right hand and reach it toward the outside of your left foot as you hip hinge. So you're gonna reach and you're gonna come back up, okay? So depending on how your chair is positioned, maybe you have to keep your knee kind of on the edge and reach on the outside of your chair. But if you feel like you know your hip hinge well, try not to move the chair, okay? So from the side, it looks like this. Weight on the left leg, right foot is kickstanded, hip hinge, and you reach and cross. So just pay attention to where you feel that, where you feel the effort in that left leg. Most of us will feel it in the back of the thigh, maybe in the side of the hip, which is my goal for you, is to feel it in those places. No, you may not make it all the way to the floor, or you may make it to the floor by rounding forward, and I don't want you to do that. I want you to keep your spine, just imagine it long, and it's in one piece. It cannot break. Your spine is not going to segmentally break as you do this. Excellent. I have no idea how many times we did it, but let's do the other side. So right foot forward. Left leg is kickstanded, weights on your right leg, okay? The chair can be in front of your knee because we don't want this, okay? My knee's moving forward, you see, and my hips are just moving down, and that's a fine movement, but for this exercise, I want your hips to move back, your knee not to move forward. And you're just gonna reach across and come back up. So you can use this idea to lift heavy things. You could definitely use some weight if you want to add load. This is great for the back of the legs, which let me tell you, your hamstrings really matter. The backs of these muscles back here really matter in terms of how your back feels. And look, we're getting some rotation too. I love this move. Does a lot of really good things. Strengthening the sides of the hips. Excellent. Okay, one more. Yay, good. Okay, now we get to go down to the floor. I'm gonna check the time because I don't have a watch. Okay, we're doing great. So come down to the floor. You don't need your chair anymore. Okay, so we're gonna start off by getting into a 90-90 position. You may want your cushion for this under your butt, but a 90-90 position means for this example, right leg in front, 90-degree angle at the knee. Left leg kind of comes out to the side, 90-degree angle at the knee. So a lot of things you might want to bring your butt up with a cushion. That can really help. You also may want to lean to the side. Okay? If you are leaning, then we're going to work on more of the mobility in the hips here. So if you can come get your spine kind of upright, and all of those positions are great. So now put your hand on your left hip and sit it back as far as you can and bring it forward. Sit it back, bring it forward. Depending on where you are at today, this may be harder or easier. Okay, this is our before though. We're going to do a couple exercises and see how different it feels after. Back and forward. Excellent. Let's try the other side. So left leg in front, right leg back into the side. So you can be on your cushion, you can be leaning and just rotating, moving the hip, the right side of the hip forward and back a few times. Okay. The back for a lot of people feels crazy. That's internal rotation of this leg. So that tells us something. Good. Okay. So now we're going to do a couple exercises that can help with that, and they're going to help with your back too, I promise. So we're going to lie on the right side, and you can put that pillow under your head, and put your hand under your head. You can lie down. Bend your knees so that they're just kind of angled out in front of you. And we're going to bring the left knee, the top knee towards your face. Last thing is I want you to be sure that your hips are stacked. So left side of the hip is on top of the right, and it's not gonna rock and roll back and forth. You're gonna just stay stable. So I like to put my hand on my hip for that reason. Bring your right knee towards your face. Now open it up. Open that leg up as much as you can. Now drop the foot down, keeping that position. Drop it down, keeping it open. Drop it down to touch the right heel and close it. That hurts for me. Bring your knee up. Open it up without letting your hip drop back. Excellent. Bring your heel down towards your right leg, right heel, and close it. Now we're going to go in the other direction. Open it. Bring the knee up. We're moving really slow with a lot of resistance, and you are pushing that knee open, open, open. Drop it down. Close it up, and then one more time. Open the left leg. Bring the knee up towards the face. Pull, pull, pull. Close it, and drop it down. Good. Grab that cushion or your towel and roll it up. You're going to put it between your knees. No, I lied. We're not going to do that. We're going to not do that. We're going to go ahead and just lift the left foot up, keeping the knees together. Don't allow your hips to rock forward. Try to keep your torso and your hips steady and lift, 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 and now lift the knee. Lift. So you're opening, rotating, and lifting. You can pulse up for 5, 4, 3, ouch, 2, 1, drop it down. Close the leg. Whew, let's do that one more time. So lift the left foot. So that creates this rotation in the leg bone that connects with the hips. lift and press up, 2, 3, 4, oh yeah, 5, and drop it down. Excellent. So now, shake out your leg. We're gonna come back into that 90-90 position with the left leg to your side. And just see, oh, can you sit back any easier? Does it feel any different now with the left leg being to the side? Can you sit your left hip back? Are you maybe leaning less? Okay. Mine feels way more loosey-goosey. Let's try the other side. So lay down on your left side now. And we're going to start with the circle. So we're going to bring your knees are angled just a little bit in front of you and your hands on your hips so that it doesn't rock and roll. Bring the right knee towards your face. Open it up, open, 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 press it open. Heel comes down to the other heel, keeping it open, open, and close. So this is rotation of the leg bone in the socket of the hip. It's really, really important that you have rotation in both directions. Let's go the other way. So open the knee. Bring the knee to the face, keeping it open as much as you can. Drop it down. And close it up. One more time, opening. Bringing the knee towards your face. Pull, 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 pull. Drop it down. Whew. And close it up. Okay, so now bring that right foot. Just the right foot, the knees are together. Right foot comes up. Now raise the leg. If you don't want to, you don't have to raise the leg, but then we're going to pulse if you want to. 3, 4, 5, and bring it down, close it up, give it a minute, and then again, raise the right foot. I would usually do a lot more of these, but like I said, this is your toolbox. If you're like, oh my God, this made my hips and my back feel amazing afterwards, then this is your exercise. And you will do more. Excellent. Sometimes it doesn't require that many. Okay, so come back up 90-90 with the right leg to your side now. And reassess. So feel, can I sit up straighter? Can I drop my right hip down more? Can I move it more freely? Mine are so much more loosey-goosey. Excellent. Okay, so we're going to do one more. We're going to do like 3 more exercises. One more just straight up exercise, and then a couple breathing exercises. So let's lay on our backs. And you're going to cross your left foot over. No, let's do right ankle over the left knee. Feel free, you may want your cushion for this one, so, or your yoga block or something to put under your knee for this one. So you're going to cross it over, and you're going to press that right knee open a little bit. Now you're going to drop your hips to the left, trying to keep your right shoulder on the ground. So slowly let them drop to the left. And breathe here for a second, because that can be quite a stretch at the beginning. Now I just want you to open and close your right knee a few times, open and close. You can readjust as needed. Open and close, open and close. Now I want you to press your right knee open, so down away from your hips. Press, 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 press. As hard as you want, as you feel. And now do the other direction, bring it in towards the ground, right knee towards the ground, and kind of press, 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 press. You might feel a stretch in your core muscles, in your abdomen. Press, 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 press. Excellent. And now slowly bring your knees back up. Let's do the other side. So bring the left knee. You can do that 5 more times. We're just going to do one. So bring your knees, your legs to the right this time, and trying to keep your left
shoulder down. If you need, you can put the cushion or the yoga block under your foot and knee on the right side. If it's just like you're not quite making it, that's totally fine. Now just open and close that left knee, up and down, open, close. I feel so much stretch in the side of my hip. Now, I'm gonna ask you to press that left knee open. Press, 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 press. Press even more if you so choose. Good, and relax. Now, let's do it one more time in that direction. Press, 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 open, 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 press, 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 open, open, open. Good. And now you're gonna pull it towards the ground. And now pull, 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 pull. Rotate that leg. It feels so different on the two sides of my body. I can't even. So it's really interesting. Feel the difference. Feel the difference. Good. And release and come. Bring your knees back up. Okay. Grab your towel. We have 2 more exercises and then we'll be done. Grab your towel, fold it, roll it like so, like a little burrito. Okay, I've got my towel roll here. You're gonna lay it underneath your side, left side ribs. And you're gonna put your hands on the right side of your lower ribs. You're gonna try to relax here as much as you can. Your knees are bent. Now, I just want you to take a few breaths where your ribs move into the towel and into your hand that's on your low rib. So inhale. Exhale. So you're really trying to feel the expansion in your low ribs from side to side. Just keep slowly filling your lungs and letting your ribs expand. This can take time. For some folks, this is harder than for other people. So if it feels hard for you, that's okay. Just keep trying. It's really important to have rib movement. And we can get locked down in our upper back, in our ribs. So once you start to feel a little bit of movement there, go ahead and reach your arm up to the sky. Keep your ribs where they are and let your arm drop back towards the back wall. And then just start to make like an arc. Draw a rainbow with your arm. It can go down to your hips if you want, or you can just keep it higher up, wherever it feels good. And just keep breathing as you move your arm. Just allow that movement to be intuitive wherever feels good to you. Trying to keep the ribs kind of stacked instead of rolling back. Rolling back would be nice too. There's no such thing as wrong movements. There's just the movements we're really used to that we do all of the time. And then there's movements that are more new. And the new movements are really important too. Good. Let's do the other side. So you can just turn over. I'm gonna flip. So towel under your ribs. You can play around with the position. You don't need to leave it in one place the whole time. You can do this for a lot longer. So inhale, feel your ribs expand into the towel and into your hand, and exhale. And the towel really moves into your ribs and you exhale. Take a few more breaths right here. Good. Okay. Keep breathing. Stretch your left arm up to the sky and drop it back behind you and just start to move it in whatever way feels good to you. Palm facing the ceiling is good. You can even have that thumb facing the floor. So that's going to create a different experience in your shoulder. If your thumb is oriented towards the floor. Keep breathing. This movement is so wonderful for stress management. Excellent. Okay, one last breathing move. So we're gonna come onto your knees. Go ahead and you can feel free to put the cushion behind your knees or under your knees. And then I want you to take that rolled up towel and you're gonna shove it into your belly like this, and you're gonna curl over it like this. Okay, you're gonna make the biggest curve in your spine that you can imagine. That towel is in your belly so that you can't really breathe into your belly. You're gonna try to breathe into your back. Okay, so you're curled forward and you're gonna take a breath where your ribs expand in the back of your body. And make it a really big breath, a really big expansion, and relax and let it all out. And do that again. You're really trying to feel those ribs on the back of your body expand as much as you can. Relax your shoulders. Sometimes they try to help. Take a couple more. Excellent, very good. Okay, grab your cushion, sit comfortably. You can also sit in your chair. Now, this is our after. So if you're okay on the floor, sit on your cushion. Get your sits bones facing the floor instead of curling your back. Try to sit tall and long in your spine. Also, feel free to sit in the chair. So we're going to do the same rib expanding breath that we did at the beginning. So take your towel, wrap the edge around your low ribs, cross it over in the front, kind of grab it with your fingers like this, and inhale. And exhale. See if you can make that towel, the edge of the towel, slide with your breath. So your fingers will get closer together as you inhale, farther apart as you exhale. Take one more of those breaths. And exhale. Just notice, do you feel any difference? Did you feel more movement in your ribs? Do they feel a little freer? Anything that you notice is worth taking into account. Okay, so we're just going to close our eyes. Take a minute to feel how our bodies feel now at the end of this class. Take a few normal breaths. Notice if you feel any difference between the beginning and the end. Maybe you don't, that's okay. Beautiful. All right, that's it for today. Thank you so much for being here with me. I'm going to stop the recording.